So I got a couple of questions asking me how I actually use my bullet journal when I'm getting ready for the month. So rather than just sharing what it looks like to set up the bones of my month, I thought I would share the actual process of how I fill it out, how I use my other collections to inform my month, and how I get everything filled out so I'm really ready to begin. If you're new here, hi and welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, I'm so glad you decided to come back and check this out. I'm Catherine, and this is Focus and Flow. This is a place for planning and bullet journal inspiration. This is where I share my, oh my goodness, how many years? 9? Oh my God, it's 2025 now. 9 years of experience of bullet journaling. So let's get started, shall we? It's always a good idea to reference your previous collections when you are filling out your monthly spread. Super important. Why? Because this is going to be actually the meat and potatoes of how your bullet journal is going to serve you. Otherwise, there's really no point. There's really no point if you're not referencing your previous collections. If you are like me and you have taken the time to set up various beautiful and well thought out collections in your journal, then it makes perfect sense that you're going to be referencing those and carrying forward that information that they contain. So it's actual actionable items for you so that you can really use that information to reach your goals and to just accomplish everything that you are trying to do. I'll get off of my soapbox here. So I am referencing my year at a glance or my future log. I'm also taking a look at my birthday tracker as well as my holiday tracker. I'm making sure that I note down any important days, and then I'm also referencing my goals list as well as my launchpad. The launchpad is a really, really helpful feature that I use constantly in my journal. So it really gives me a good breakdown of yearly, semi-yearly, as well as monthly, weekly, etc. items that I want to be including. And my monthly challenge, this is a new thing for me. I'm enjoying it so far. I am just choosing and assigning for myself something just in the background that is something that I feel is for my general well-being and something that I would like to include in my day-to-day. I don't go out of my way to track my progress with this. It's just something that I sort of have ongoing in, like I said, in the background. So I decided that I would go ahead and follow what I had originally put it in pencil. You can see I have all kinds of little things here in pencil for each month. And that item for February was my evening routine. In the month of January, I have been working on my morning routine to varying degrees of success. But maybe, just maybe, if I can really nail down and get my evening routine in a nice place, then I might actually be able to get up a little bit earlier when I want to and work on that. So I noticed that I don't actually have a space for my monthly challenge here on my monthly, so I do have a little bit of room and I'm just going to squish it right here. And that way I'll be able to see it consistently. I'm always accessing my monthly page, and this is going to keep me in the loop and kind of keep that in my mind. So on the note of that monthly challenge, I realized that it might be helpful for me to actually just take a couple of notes and give myself some ideas that I can reference as I move through the month as to how I might make that challenge a reality. So I thought, why not just go ahead and set up a couple of my other pages in my monthly setup. I will usually have a page for notes, which is just a blank space, free space for me to work within. I really need to have a little bit of space, which is unstructured, that I can jot down absolutely anything that I need to during the month. So that is my space for that. And then I also have a 2-page spread for money management, which I will fill out a little bit later. Now, I don't usually include notes immediately when I'm setting up my monthly, but I did have this thought about including some ideas for how to work on my evening routine. So this is just kind of me thinking out loud to myself so that I can come back in the future and remind myself, oh, hey, maybe I do want to take that magnesium so I can get a good night's sleep. Maybe I do need to work on something with my sleep hygiene remember I need to get to bed by a certain time. So those are just reminders to myself, very unofficial. So like I was saying earlier, it's so helpful to go back and take a look at the various pages and collections that you have in the past. You might find things that need to be checked off. You might find things that need to be migrated and something to pay attention to. You might find something that needs to be eliminated. Who knows? It's just always helpful to revisit those fundamental parts that you have included in the past, because that is why they're there. So I am going to be bringing a couple of things over into my monthly category. This is sort of recurring tasks, and I actually modified this so it's monthly and quarterly, because I'm just going to be bringing some things in that I want to make sure that I do before the end of March, and now it's going to be February, so it's time to get these things on the calendar, right? So for me, those things that I'm writing down right now are just making sure I get to the Korean spa for a day of relaxation, and also to go ahead and get a pedicure done. It doesn't really matter what you're migrating over, to be honest, but if it's something that means something to you, that's the point. Not everything has to be huge career goals or big life milestones. This is for everything that happens in life. So I'm going to be also making note of some financial goals. I'll come back in and kind of complete this just for my own privacy, and health goals, things like this. I am making sure that I'm referencing what I have already written, so I know what is a true priority to me and what I can actually do something about this month. The monthly spread for the previous month is also a place where you're going to find some information that you're probably going to want to either check off or carry over and migrate into the next month for yourself. It can also serve as a bit of a monthly review, which is also a very, very important thing to keep in mind when you're about to move into a new month. It's always good. You want to go back and see, hey, how did this month pan out for me? And what was really helpful or what didn't work? Not only in terms of how the planning itself went, but as far as just generally in your life, what kind of month did you have, and what kind of information can you take from that and carry into the future? Now for the level 10 life, I feel like a lot of ink has been spilled about the level 10 life in these circles, so I won't go too deep into it. Do let me know if you would like a deep dive and an explanation of exactly how I use this system. But when it comes to my monthly self-assessment, I am using this page to reference as far as the different categories in my life and the kind of criteria that I'm going to be using to assess my satisfaction or lack thereof in a given area. So I actually rated pretty high this month. I'm pretty happy about that. I only have 2 areas of life that are a little bit lower than I would like them to be. That would be career and work, and fun and recreation. So that tells me that those 2 areas of my life I'm going to give extra focus to, and I will actually add some additional to-dos for myself that will help to bolster those and make me feel probably a little bit more energized and engaged and satisfied in those realms. So you already know that whiteout is your friend, right? Earlier, when I started to look at this spread, I decided that I would change a couple of the items that I was tracking. So I just came back in here. I did settle back on tracking my miracle morning. I thought that would be really helpful. And then I changed one of the habits to actually working on my language learning. For almost a year now, I have been learning Hindi, and I have graduated from Duolingo to this beautiful textbook, and I have only so far gotten to the end of chapter 1. Don't worry, I actually just got the textbook like at the beginning of the year. So I wanted to add in some incentive for myself as a habit tracker, and also I noted in my to-dos that I would finish chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, so I get to chapter 5 by the end of the month. On the subject of new reminders to myself, I also included here in my to-dos that I wanted to work on balancing my budget because there have been some just changes to how in my family we manage our finances. So just want to keep on top of that. And this brings to mind my money page. So this is the part of my monthlies that I will basically create a super simple grid for myself. And each week on Friday, I go in to all of my accounts and I check all of the expenses that have come through. I check all of the numbers, balance it out, and also just make sure that everything is legitimate. I highly, highly recommend that in this day and age of so many electronic purchases that you check your accounts on a weekly basis. And I am also making an area for me to actually do that spending analysis. I don't anticipate doing a huge amount of spending, so I really am just reserving a little bit of space for things like groceries and incidental purchases. And there you have it. For all intents and purposes, my February spread is up and ready to go. I hope this has given you a little bit of inspiration on how you might utilize some of these techniques. I'm wishing you an excellent month, and if you like these videos, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you next time.